In 2017, it was hard to find anyone who wasn't interested in buying Bitcoin or any of the other cryptocurrencies, especially after Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss, the twins who were supposed to be the founders of Facebook, had their ideas stolen by the software developer they hired, Mark Zuckerberg, became the first Bitcoin billionaires. Although I am unsure of their current net worth, they have likely crossed the $1 billion mark considering that the price of Bitcoin has climbed by a factor of 2 since 2017. Without a doubt, it turns into a bubble each time it happens. In addition, if you know anything about bubbles, you are aware that they rupture when they get too big. Cryptocurrency costs have reached an all-time low. A lot of people lost millions of dollars. It seemed like the era of cryptocurrencies was passing for a moment. However, blockchain technology is well known to be here to stay, and the price of a Bitcoin has recently increased to $40,000, which is more than double what it was in 2017. After the stock market's amazing rise in 2020, when some stocks achieve increases of over 700%, people are ready to invest. I therefore want to learn how to find investment opportunities in this video that will help me become a millionaire. Do you desire to acquire Bitcoin? Or in light of the historically low interest rates, should you invest in real estate? You're about to learn how to locate $1 million opportunity, so pay attention. Give this video a thumbs up if you're ready to continue, and let's get started. Just get it right once, please. Let me make you feel horrible by listing all the chances you've passed up recently that could have increased your wealth by at least 1,000% and possibly doubled, tripled, or even more. And among them, Bitcoin is the only one. Let me just give you an example to illustrate what that means. Since 2015, Bitcoin has grown by more than 12,000%. If you invested $1,000 in Bitcoin in 2015, which was not that long ago, your $1,000 would have increased to over $1 million per year. However, if you had been a little more generous and invested $10,000, you would have become a millionaire today because $10,000 is now worth $1.2 million. There were people who bought Bitcoins before 2015 for a fraction of that price, and their $1,000 worth is now worth over $1 million. Some of those even achieved billionaire status as a result. A single Tesla stock was only worth $40 in the summer of 2019, which was not that long ago. In less than 2 years, the stock price soared to nearly $811, a 1,000% rise. This means that if you invested $1,000 in Tesla only a little over a year ago, your money would now be worth almost $20,000. In other words, if you had saved $50,000 by 2019 and put all $50,000 in Tesla, your net worth would be over $1 million now. Imagine growing $50,000 into $1 million in less than 2 years. That seems like the fulfillment of a dream. When the mortgage crisis was still being resolved in 2012, a small firm by the name of Netflix was beginning to gain traction. It aimed to transform the way we watch television. For a few dollars a month, you could sign up and watch any movie you want, whenever you want, instead of switching between channels. Not everyone agreed with this theory, but those who realized that internet was unquestionably the future invested, and the stock price has increased by more than 5,730% since 2012, which means that every $1,000 invested in Netflix back then is now worth nearly $57,300. In other words, if you had simply invested $18,000 in Netflix in 2012, you would have become a billionaire by now. You are aware of that. There are people who invested significantly more than $18,000 in Netflix back then and are now multimillionaires. I'll give you some instances from actual life. David Shurton, a computer scientist and professor at Stanford University, discovered one of the companies dedicated to the creation of Google. It was a modest software startup at a time, and the founders were even willing to sell the business to Yahoo for $1 billion. However, Shurton, a computer scientist, was aware of the advantages of search engines. He therefore made the decision to invest $100,000 in this company in his early years. Imagine what transpired later. He did not suddenly turn into $1 million. He attained billionaire status, and his current net worth exceeds $8 billion. Without even helping the company develop, one investment transformed a normal Stanford professor who'd spent years saving $100,000 into a billionaire. While the pandemic hasn't yet been invented, Timothy Springer was aware of the risk posed by viruses and the harm they may do. So about 10 years ago, he made a decision to invest $5 million in Moderna, a Massachusetts-based biotech startup. The business concentrated on creating new medications and vaccinations. As a biology professor, he knew the value of vaccines. So while it wasn't as exciting as electric vehicles or internet shopping, Moderna's value increased when the epidemic struck, and his 3.5% ownership interest is now worth over $2 billion. In a decade, he moved from having $5 million to having nearly $2 billion. Unbelievable! There are plenty of opportunities now, plenty of opportunities yesterday, and plenty more opportunities tomorrow. I could go on and offer a million additional instances, but you get the idea. How many of them must you find to win $1 million or $1 billion? 5, 10, 15? No, only one. Just once must be correct. You don't have to have an opinion on everything, as Warren Buffett advises. Even if all opportunities pass you by, it doesn't matter. You are as good as long as you find one and take advantage of it. How can you find such opportunities? That is the actual query. Since there are openings in every industry, your goal should be excel in one area so they can recognize opportunities in that area. When the internet was only starting to gain popularity, those who were interested in online payments got into cryptos. A social media enthusiast, Gary Vaynerchuk, or also known as Gary V, not only made significant financial investments in Facebook, Twitter, and other social media firms, but also created a whole business around them. He's now worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The greatest investor of all time, Warren Buffett, passed on chances to invest in companies like Amazon, Tesla, Google, Bitcoin, and a million other prospects. Even though Bill Gates, a personal friend, tried to persuade him to invest in Microsoft back in the 1990s, he chose not to do so. What matters is that it doesn't matter. He concentrated on a particular area where he excelled. He patiently waited the right time to invest and did so only then. Did he act ethically? Well, I suppose so, considering that he was once even wealthier than Bill Gates and is still among the very few billionaires in the world today. But this is the error that the majority of people make. When people feel that they're missing out, they invest. Consider Bitcoin as an example. When prices fell in 2018, Bitcoin was trading at about $3,000. These enthusiastic investors weren't interested at all. They totally lost track of it. But as soon as it starts to get attention and became more popular, everyone wants to get involved and profit. It's already too late. Investing when the market is at its highest is a bad idea because it will crash. Can one become lucky then? Maybe. I hope you're fortunate. So relying on luck to become wealthy isn't exactly the best course of action. I'm not saying don't invest in Bitcoin or don't invest in real estate or don't participate in the stock market. I'm simply saying if you're late to the party, then don't risk your money. Don't overestimate yourself and don't attempt to see every opportunity out there because you will wind up missing them all. So keep in mind that you can only be correct once. And because you're so knowledgeable in this area, you have a complete understanding of how this industry, stock, and technology will increase 10, 20, or even 1,000 times over the next few years. Consequently, you won't be deterred by the everyday fluctuations in the stock market. In January 2020, I made investments in several businesses, including Solar Edge Technologies. It wasn't a particularly appealing investment at the time, but it's now one of the few that I think will soar in the coming years. Expanded by more than 250% in 2020, and in my opinion, it has the potential to expand by another 1000%, but only time will tell. That's all for now. We hope you've enjoyed yourselves and learned something new. If you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos. Click on our previous videos and learn 7 ways to easily multiply your income, or click on how to make money online according to the pros to keep your knowledge growing.